I worked out of that through 7 steps, which I'd like to share with you. And you can apply these same 7 steps to the achievement of your goals or creating whatever it is that you want in your life. Now, this isn't something I invented. This is something that I have observed of all successful people at some point, generally have gone through many of these stages. Perhaps not all. I've got 1 or 2 that I think are fairly unique to me and might be helpful to you. These are 7 steps to create your own better future. These are 7 steps to bring about change in your life, in any area of your life. If you have a relationship you're not totally happy with, you could use these 7 steps to take some action to bring you to where you'd like to be. If you aren't as healthy as you'd like to be, you could use these same 7 steps. If you'd like to create more wealth, you can use these same 7 steps. If you'd like to sell more, be more successful, you can use these steps. And here are the steps, and they're pretty basic, pretty simple, but for me, it's worked many times because since 1989, like you, I've been living and I've had all sorts of adversity, all sorts of things happen in my life. As I think I said perhaps earlier in this program, sometimes we learn quicker through adversity than we do in the good times. But here's step number 1. If you want things to change, if you wish to achieve your goals, if you really want to achieve your goals, at some point you've got to get serious. And the thing is, I meet a lot of people who never get serious. They talk about doing this and doing that, but they do absolutely nothing. They wish it were better. They hope things will change. And all they end up doing is a lot of wishing and hoping, and that doesn't change anything. You have to, at some point, say, enough is enough. I do not want to live this way any longer. And don't get me wrong, some of you are very, very successful, doing extraordinarily well. But for me, back in 1989, 1990, I reached rock bottom. I was very, very unhappy. Feeling terribly sorry for myself, I finally got serious and said, enough. I'm not waiting for anything external to me to change. I need to change now. I got serious. The second thing we need to do is make a commitment. To who? Ourselves. I worked it out that there's no point in making a commitment to someone else. It just doesn't work. Unless you're committed to you, nothing's going to change. I mean, you can make a commitment to your spouse to get fit or whatever. And you can have the right motivation because you love them and you want to do this for them, but I've worked it out. Unless you want to do it for you, you're not going to be in it for the long haul. Now, got to make that commitment. I see sales managers and people who own businesses trying to get the staff to commit to them to do all sorts of things, and that just doesn't work. Until the individual is ready to commit to themselves, nothing will change. The third thing we need to do is be sure that we're operating with the best skills available. Now, for example, if you wanted to improve your relationship, we really need to develop some relationship skills. Because it's insanity to always do what we've always done and we'll always get what we've always got. Yeah? Unless we change something, unless we start working with better skills, the result will not be any better. There are 2 reasons why people say they can't develop the skills. Firstly, they say, I don't have the time. Now, that's lie number 1. If you ever find yourself saying, I don't have the time, it's not that you don't have the time. We all have the same amount of time. It's just that people who want to do well commit to investing the time. They make the time. If I were to operate in the normal sort of hours that most people would operate in a week, there is absolutely no way that I would achieve what it is that I want to achieve in the time frame that I want to achieve it. My lifestyle is fairly unique to me. I work normal through the day, then I spend time with my children in the evening when I'm not travelling, which is roughly half of the time, present time. And then I kick off again, maybe 9 o'clock at night, go through till pretty much 2 o'clock in the morning. Those hours work very well for me. Brian Tracy said that working standard hours, you'll get standard results. Every hour beyond 8 or 9 hours a day is an investment in your future for the achievement of your goals. It takes 8 or 9 hours just to keep up, doesn't it? And if you want to move ahead, you need to do something extra. So if you want to develop the skills, it's a matter of making the time. You can develop these skills if you wish. The other lie about developing skills is I don't have the time and I don't have the Money? A lot of people say I don't have the money. They say, oh, look, I love your program, Wayne. I love those audio programs. I tell you what, when I'm doing better, then I'll buy them. Now, I guess you've worked it out, right? They're not going to do better until they actually invest in themselves and develop the skills. And the funny thing is, when you start investing dollars in developing the skills, you tend to take really good notes if you're attending seminars. And you're also much more motivated to take action. Now, the fourth one is a very powerful phrase, and it's got to do with our friends. We heard in an earlier session, Kylie mentioned the term dream crushers. Well, I used the term dream stealers. A lot of our friends will steal our dreams. So you need to be very careful who you share your dreams with and who you share your goals with, because some people will try and talk you out of it. Why? Kylie.
Either they're afraid to fail, or they're envious of the fact that you can actually
Yeah.
do something and they're afraid you're going to get further and
Move ahead.
fast.
Yeah, so sometimes they're afraid you're going to fail and they have your best interest in mind, or they're afraid that if you move ahead, they'll be left behind. So, here's a really powerful phrase. I'm going to suggest that you surround yourself with friends who expect more of you than you do of yourself. Surround yourself with friends who expect more of you than you have ever expected of yourself. In other words, friends with high expectations. Friends who believe in you. Friends who will encourage you and support you and truly believe in you, perhaps more than you believe in yourself. Very unique people. But you can find them. These people will support you in the achievement of your goals. Now, back in 1990, I was going through a tough period in my life, and well-meaning friends would invite me over to have dinner. And when I'd go over and have dinner, I'd inevitably be asked, how's it going? And I liked that question because it gave me an opportunity to tell my sad, sad tale one more time. Do some of you know people like that? Wallowing in pity. I mean, I'm not proud to say this, but this is what I was doing. And I've never experienced anything like this before in my life, because right from an early age, I've always been highly motivated, achieving, doing things. And this was the first major setback I'd ever had in my life, and it was totally devastating to me. Business, assets. I avoided bankruptcy because it took me 4 years or 5 years to work out of it afterwards, but pretty bad stuff. And my friends would invite me over to have dinner, and I'd tell my sad, sad tale looking for what? Sympathy. Guess what I used to get a lot of? Sympathy. Now, sympathy from our friends actually helps us to stay here. I had some well-meaning friends who gave me extra ideas to put on my list of reasons for not doing well. Things I hadn't even thought of. They gave them to me. They didn't realize I had this list, and I didn't consciously have this list. One well-meaning friend said to me, Wayne, I really do know what you're going through. A friend of mine went through the same thing. Still hasn't recovered from it. Totally devastated. I said, really? Tell me more. He said, well, look, the guy lives up in Shepparton. Had a successful business, lost his family. He's a wreck. I could relate to that. I said, how long ago was that? He said, 7 years. He gave me an answer that I was wondering about, like, how long am I going to feel miserable? Will I ever get through this? Have any of you been down so low that all you really wanted to know was, can I get through this and when am I going to come out the other end? I won't ask for a show of hands, but I see some of you nodding, you've been that low. And he gave me the answer, 7 years. And I thought, 7 years. See, most of our friends in life, when we tell them how tough it is, are very, very reasonable. We tell them life's not fair, they say, you're right, it's not. It's tough. In fact, wasn't it one of our prime ministers said life wasn't meant to be easy? Great. So, I was going through this tough period. I was trying to find myself, I guess, actually a coffee shop bar in South Yarra, Chapel Street, South Yarra, in Melbourne. And I was having a coffee. I'm not a big drinker, I never have been, and I really wasn't back in those days either, but it makes a good story, doesn't it? You know? But I'm in Chapel Street, South Yarra, in a restaurant cafe down there called the Casbah. Maybe some of you know it, it's still there. And this person came up to me all bright and chirpy and said, "Didn't you used to be Wayne Berry?" Now, did they really say that? No. But that's what it sounded like to me. I guess they said, "Are you Wayne Berry?" Or, because I'm feeling like a has-been. Imagine this. Like, I'm in the personal growth, personal development business, bringing out all these American speakers, and I've managed to mess my life up better than anyone I knew at the time. You know, what a great advertisement for my business. And they said, "I come to all the seminars. I haven't received any brochures from you for a little while. Who you got coming out next? I mean, I must have dropped off your mailing list." I said, "Haven't you heard?" They said, "No, what?" I said, "You got a few minutes?" I wanted to tell my sad, sad tale. I was really good at doing this. And I guess I was looking for sympathy again. I started to tell them my sad, sad tale. They sat across the table from me and they looked at me and they didn't say very much. Now, this was not the normal response that I was used to. I was used to getting all of the sympathy and they were just listening quietly. And finally, at the end of my presentation, and let me tell you, it was a presentation, they finally said, "So, what have you done about it since then?" This was not the response I was expecting. "What have you done about it since then?" What had I done? Develop my sad, sad story. I mean, that's about it. I had not done much to move out of that. And they said, "Well, what's your plan?" Plan? What do you mean? "Well, your plan for getting out of it and getting your life back in order again." And I suddenly remembered I had an appointment. I didn't really, but I excused myself and said, "Look, I've got to go." And they obtained my telephone number, and I got their telephone number, and funny thing is, the next day around about 1 o'clock, the phone rang, and it was this person. They were bright and chirpy, which I really didn't like, because I was still in bed. Because that was my plan of action, right? I'd go out late at night trying to find myself and then sleep in, avoid most of the day, and then repeat the cycle. And they said, "Hi, it's me. You got that plan together yet?" So, "Who is this?" "You remember last night we were talking, you said, that you'd get a plan together." And I didn't remember actually agreeing to get a plan together, but they said, "No, you got to get a plan together." So, "Oh, okay, well, thank you. I really appreciate that." Now, I'll cut a long story short here because they phoned me every single day. I can't remember whether it was for 4 days, 7 days. It was quite a few days. But I do remember it got progressively earlier. Until one day I got out of bed early expecting the call, and sure enough the call came through, I think, about 8 o'clock in the morning. And they said, "Hey, have you got that plan together yet?" And I said, "Yes, I have. I really appreciate your interest. I'm inspired. I've got that plan together. Thank you very much." They said, "Great. I'm coming over. We'll have a look at it together." Now I'm a loser and a liar because I didn't have a plan together. And I remember I put them off until the afternoon. They came over in the afternoon, and I thought, what am I going to do? I had from 8 o'clock that morning till the afternoon. You know what? It doesn't really take you long to get a plan together once you decide to get a plan together, once you make that commitment to put a plan together. And I sat down and I thought about, well, what resources do I have available to me? What would I do if I really wanted to do something? And I decided that I was passionate about sales. I discovered some new technology through Robert Kiyosaki called accelerated learning. I discovered something called neuro-linguistic programming. And I believed that Australia needed a training program uniquely for salespeople, presented by an Australian, and there wasn't a good one at the time. And I thought, that's what I think I'd like to do. Now, there were a few little barriers in the way. Number one, I had never written a program before. Number two, I'd never written a book before. Number three, I had zero presentation skills, and I've told you in this program earlier today that I used to introduce the American speakers standing on the platform, shaking. I was not a presenter, speaking to groups of people. Didn't have that skill developed at all. So it was a pretty ambitious plan. They came over in the afternoon, I showed them the plan. They said, "I think it's a good plan. When's your first seminar?" I was, well, hang on, whatever. I said, no, we've got to set a date, right? This is my seminars coming back at me, I guess. They'd been and they'd seen Dennis Waitley, and you've got to set a date, right? So we got the diary out, we set a date, 21st of September. I beg your pardon, 21st of October. (2001). No, it wasn't, I beg your pardon, 1991. I'm getting ahead of myself here. 1991. Forgetting which century I'm in now. And this person said, "Well, we've got to book a venue." Venue? Now, I was broke at the time, so we found a place that hadn't heard about me. And we booked it. It was a church hall in West Melbourne. I mean, really down market, but they hadn't heard. Because I had zero money, really, at the time. And we actually contacted my old printer, and he said, "Look, I'll print brochures for you. I believe in you," which is good. Jerry always had believed in me and always supported me. We printed some brochures, we distributed the brochures. Cut a long story short, we got 32 people on the first program. And it was a success and led us to what we're doing today. Now, the point is, this person got on my case. This person was not reasonable. This person was extremely unreasonable. And some of you have heard me talk about this concept of having unreasonable friends. This person, as I look back, was one of a number of unreasonable friends I had in my life at the time. There was another unreasonable friend. His name was Michael, and I'd known Michael for a very long time, and Michael used to get on my case as well. He used to tell me the truth. He used to tell me not to kid myself. He used to push me. You see, an unreasonable friend will do something that most people will not do. They will tell you the truth. And this new friend really got on my case and told me the truth. But this was a person who expected more of me than I expected of myself. This person thought I was somebody. This person believed in Wayne Berry because of what I'd done in the past. I'd lost all my confidence in myself. My self-esteem was at an all-time low. This person believed in me. They were also caring enough to tell me the truth. And sometimes you've got to hear the truth. So here's what I'm saying. You are better off in life if you surround yourself with unreasonable friends who expect more of you than you've ever expected of yourself. They will encourage you, they will support you, they will not let you kid yourself. When you start to do this stuff, they will point that out to you. Because this person had actually been to the same program, not the same program exactly, not the one that I was on, but had been to a Robert Kiyosaki program where he spoke about this lay, blame, justify stuff. So this person looked at my plan and said, I think it's a really good plan. I think I'll work with you on this. This person was pretty bored. They worked for a company, very successful salesperson, sales manager, had been involved in training, and said, look, I'll work with you on this. I'd like to be involved in this. And this person became managing director of our company and made a much better managing director than I did because I'm good at what I'm good at, but I wasn't particularly good managing director, managing people and finances and that sort of stuff. And it was one of the very best things that ever happened in my life. And that person was my unreasonable friend, and to this day continues to be my unreasonable friend. Well, we're still close friends, and we are each other's unreasonable friend. So, number 5 is accountability. Accountability. Accountability can be a powerful thing. See, some people set goals, make plans, and then they're accountable only to them. So, now look, you might say, well, look, if you can't be accountable to yourself, if you can't depend on yourself, if you can't take 100% responsibility yourself, I mean, gee, there's something wrong. Well, look, I don't know about you, but I'm a human being. And what I found was that if I would make a promise to myself and didn't keep it, I'd end up beating up on myself. My self-esteem would go down, my level of motivation would go down because I just wasn't achieving what I wanted to achieve. So I got together with this unreasonable friend and I set some goals, and I became accountable to this unreasonable friend for the achievement of the little steps that would take me progressively towards my goal. For example, the way this program got written was this person said to me, I'll help you write the program by providing you with some space where you won't get any interruptions. And had a 12 by 12 room at home, and bring your computer, bring all the resource materials, everything you need to write the program. At this stage, I was also on a personal fitness program as well. So, you know, you're trying to lose weight and all of that sort of thing. I got some really good ideas around this. You go in the room, you write the program. You pass the pages out. If I like the pages, I'll pass food and water in. This is called an incentive program. Now, we laugh about it, but the program got written page by page by page. And when I felt tired and when I felt I didn't want to do any more, it would remind me of the deadline, 21st October. We've got to have that program finished. And we work towards that. Now, many of the other things that I've done in my life, I've done because I've been accountable to an unreasonable friend. Not just that unreasonable friend, but a number of unreasonable friends in my life. And one of my most unreasonable friends is in the room at the present time, and you've gotten to know him over the days that we've spent together, and that's Red Moore, who travels with me. He's a very, very unreasonable friend. But in whose best interest? My best interest. If we surround ourselves with unreasonable friends, they can really support us to achieve our goals. Do you understand what I'm saying there? Now, most people will not do this. Most people do not want to be accountable to anyone else, because to be accountable to someone else, you might just have to do what you said you were going to do. Now, those action commitments that you've been writing down, If you are really serious about achieving those action commitments, I'm going to suggest you find an unreasonable friend, share with them what your action commitments are, and then meet with them on a regular basis and perhaps be each other's unreasonable friend. Perhaps within 24 hours of finishing this program, you get together with maybe somebody in the room who understands what we're talking about here. And you say, okay, here are my goals. Here's what I intend to do with them the next 7 days. Chunk it down to just 7 days. And then get together with them in 7 days' time and say, okay, this is what I did, what did you do? And if the person that you're having this unreasonable friend relationship with starts to do this lay, blame, justify stuff, point out to them that they're kidding themselves and get them to restate their objectives for the next 7 days. Now, most people won't do this. Why? Because this takes courage. It takes courage to move outside your comfort zone and actually do what you know you should do. It also takes courage to get out of bed and go and do something when you don't feel like it. When you're depressed, for example. It takes no courage to get out of bed and go and have a day when you're feeling terrific. It takes real courage to go and do something when you don't feel like it. Now, it's not a matter of having courage, it's a matter of exercising courage because you have courage or you wouldn't be in sales. It takes courage to be in sales. So there we have steps 1 to 6. If you really want to achieve your goals, get serious. Make a commitment to yourself. Make sure you're working with the appropriate skills. I had to develop a whole lot of skills around speaking, writing, presenting. Get yourself an unreasonable friend, someone who cares enough to tell you the truth, who will hold you to your word and remind you to take 100% responsibility. Be accountable to that person. Exercise courage. And finally, step number 7. I hope that the time you've invested to be in this program will return to you many, many times over what you've invested. In fact, I'm very confident it will, particularly if you follow these 7 steps. However, I bet you know some people who know what they should do, they just never get started, right? I'm going to suggest to you that within 24 hours, and possibly even before you sleep tonight, review your notes, review your action commitments. Now, you'll notice in the action commitments, we've got a column for date achieved, or date to be achieved, and we've got a priority numbering system as well. I would suggest before you sleep tonight, be serious enough to sit down, go through your action commitments and work out, I'm going to do this one first, this one second, this one third, this one fourth, and work out exactly what you will do within the next 7 days. Also then look forward at some of the other ideas and put dates on there to indicate when you will implement these ideas. In other words, if what we've done in working together here makes sense, let these 3 words be the way that you live. And these 3 words are, do it now. If this makes sense, do it now. I meet so many people who have a good idea and they do absolutely nothing. Now, I'm not the most talented person in the world. I'm not the most intelligent person in the world. I'm not the best presenter in the world. But I get a good idea, I take action so quick. Really, really quick. Now, some people say, well, you know, if you act too quick, what if you make a mistake? Well, you'll find out quicker. You'll find out quicker. And isn't life about doing something and then taking corrective action? You know, you've only got to be right about, 51% of the time to be successful? The most successful people in life have worked out. In fact, I can tell you like many, many ways to lose money. I've worked it all out, you know. I know how to do that. And it's when you go down that track and you work out all of the pitfalls and you have the learning experiences that you can then walk confidently in the direction that you want to go because you've had the learning experiences. So, you know, if this makes sense, take some action, do it now. In fact, what I suggest is do what most people don't do, and that is take massive action. Don't try things a time or two. Take massive action. Don't make 10 phone calls and see what happens with that telephone script. Make 100 phone calls. It's been great working with you. I will keenly be interested in hearing from you and following your success story. If I can support you in any way, phone me, email me, and that goes for the people joining us in the video program as well. Make it happen. Make it a great life. Talk to you again soon.